of course, we're in the smack dab middle of the first round of the NBA playoffs.
I love the first round because there's so many series going on. There's just so many teams involved. In so many
man.
storylines. When you get to the finals, it's great, but there's 2 teams.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's really kind of cool right now because there's so many things going on.
So many different things, so many different storylines, so many different young, promising players that are showing their butts off. But the game that we want to talk about is the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics have just defeated the Brooklyn Nets again.
2-0 for the Celts. Nice.
Go ahead.
This is interesting. I mean, the Celtics playing at home, so they should take these 2 games, but I mean, everybody fears Brooklyn because of the individual talent of KD and Kyrie. So
114 to 107 is that score.
And it was a buzzer beater in game 1.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a tendency to overreact over 2 games, particularly when the home team does, and I would caution anybody from doing that. Series can change with each game. But that being said, Boston's done what they hope to do by winning these first 2 games, puts a lot of pressure on Brooklyn to go home and get a win. I do think, and if you agree with me or not, but I think a lot of focus is starting to fall on Steve Nash.
A lot of it is, man. A lot of it is. But and here goes the thing, right? Because it's a double-edged sword. Because you got Steve Nash, who is an unexperienced coach coming in to coach a championship level team, but also you have some unique players. Kyrie had an awesome game 1. Game 2 tonight, he struggles, right? So he goes 4 for 13 for 10 points and 1 assist, all right, as the point guard. Then you have Durant, who didn't have he had a below average game for a superstar in game 1. He doubles back with a similar performance but worse, right? So he's 4 for 17 tonight with 6 turnovers and 5 personal fouls.
So those guys were
they were
8 for 30?
Yeah.
Combined?
And remember, Kevin Durant is one of the most efficient scorers of all time. And Boston was the number 1 defense since January 1st to now. So,
but Williams didn't play tonight, did he?
Yeah, he played a couple of minutes.
He did. Okay.
From what I can see. Hold on, there was a Williams. I didn't check, but even without Williams, they have been a stout defense. And no, Williams did not play tonight.
Yeah,
he did not play tonight.
Because when the Celtics had a rough start to the season, they really found themselves defensively with Robert Williams, the young post player,
right.
And he's been out for a little bit now, not playing in this series. I think he's a little bit day-to-day, game-to-game. So for them to defend that well without him is significant.
It's significant, man.
They do, though, and I don't know that these...
And this is a year 1 coach, too, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, we can talk about that, too, yeah. But, with Jalen, with Jason, they do have some long, rangy dudes. And we know what Marcus Smart does defensively.
Defensive player of the year, Shad Mark.
They've got some nice pieces to match up with elite offensive talent that Brooklyn possesses. So this is an intriguing series, but I don't want to overreact because Brooklyn could get home. They can easily win Game 3, Game 4, and then it's anybody's game.
It is, but and I don't want to. You don't want to start this early, but it's the thing about. Damn, it's like, when are we going to hold Kevin Durant to the status that he's held? If he's the best player in the league, they got to dig at him some, man. Like, there's no way LeBron can have back-to-back performances like this and no one brings it, no one highlights it. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
And when are anybody going to hold him accountable for his lackluster performances when he has them?
I agree with you. I think that this needs to be revisited. The funny thing is, I remember a while back, I mean, him getting outplayed in some series. I think it was like a Dirk Nowitzki series early in his career where Dirk was just better.
Yeah.
He was more impactful in the games. But I mean, KD's grown from that. But there's a story where he was at a very talented team, went to the finals with OKC, but never got further, famously lost the 3-1 lead to the Warriors before joining them. He goes to an absolute utopia of basketball with the Warriors for 4 years and wins 2 titles. Was he there for 3 or 4 years?
He was hurt. I want to say he was hurt
last year. Yeah. So he's there for 2.5 years. If he doesn't get hurt, they win that by a walk. But then he chooses to leave that to go to Brooklyn. He chooses Kyrie to be his running mate. They finagle some other moves. They originally brought in the DeAndre Jordan, who was stale milk. They brought in Blake Griffin. They bring in James Harden this year. That famously didn't work. Now they may have the remnants of Ben Simmons. It has been a true disaster there. Every bit the disaster. Well, worse than the Lakers with LeBron. Because the Lakers with LeBron have at least the one title to hang their hat on. They had 3 miserable years other than the title, to be fair. But Brooklyn has had the lost year when KD didn't play,
right?
Which ended the bubble season. The last year, that team kind of broke down, and KD, couldn't get him over the top. But he played valiantly in defeat against the Bucks. And then this year, if they go out in the first round to a good Celtics team, in a vacuum, there's no shame in that. But if you go to Brooklyn to win something, and you muddle through 3 seasons like this, it is a failure of high level proportions.
And your 2 superstars are healthy. And Kyrie has played a quarter of the season. He's as healthy as going to be.
Yeah.
And Kyrie's a guy who gets hurt, sometimes and things like that. But
he has a poor health history.
He has fresh legs, man.
And I said that when he came back. Yeah. I said there's almost a value in him not being a part of that grind for the first 45, 50 games.
1,000%. And
then you come in and play, home games or road games only for the final 2 months of the season. They should be flourishing. But it is a wonky roster, and it's been that in flux the whole time. And then it is fair to criticize Steve Nash, and is he bringing any value, anything to it? And you can't ride the rookie or inexperienced head coach thing. That's horseshit.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr stepped into a great situation and made it better.
Yeah.
This
is Boston's first year.
Phil Jackson, stepped into his first NBA job, a great situation, and delivered the goods.
Yeah.
There's plenty of that's happened. Like Spoelstra did in Miami. There's plenty of guys that have done that, and it's not good enough to just say, well, he's a rookie. Bullshit. The man's been in the NBA game for over 20 years as an exceptional player, as a guy that observed, and he was a consultant with the Warriors. He saw, how that roster and how Steve Kerr managed that group of people and the culture that was there.
And both the Suns and the Warriors had unique offensive systems. Yeah. Phoenix bought the run and gun with what's our guy's
Mike
name?
D'Antoni.
With Mike D'Antoni. That was a unique system that really worked in the NBA. And then you have Golden State Warriors with Kerr's offense, which kind of transformed the league and things like that. And then here you come with the Nets, and you have no offensive system at all what to think of other than Kyrie gets a couple times to do his thing, everybody spread out. Then you give it to Durant and everybody spread out. He does his thing. Just basic ISO ball.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone is having problems with.
If you go back further and you look at the Bulls in the 90s, you look at the Lakers with Phil Jackson, with Kobe and Shaq, you look at the Warriors, you look at a lot of the iconic winning teams, there was a system of basketball that demanded more of stars than to simply ISO and do what they choose to do.
Right.
That it put them in a system, because at the end of the day, and here's the cheat code to this. At the end of the day, your stars can always go get a bucket when you need one.
Mm-hmm.
Michael could do it. Kobe could do it. Shaq could do it. Multiple Warriors could do it. But the value of putting them in a system of basketball that has a little structure and demands a bit more of them is that you can kind of cruise through that and use that system. And then when it breaks down, or you really need something, or you get a hot hand, then you ride it. But there's some basic structure that gives involvement and engagement to the entirety of the 5 players on the floor during the bulk of the game, during the bulk of the season, bulk of situations. And then when you need ISO, it's there.
Exactly.
And there's a value to that I think is lost to some of these teams. And you look at, the Harden Rockets, and then you look at the way
the ISO.
That's played. And even the LeBron teams. LeBron teams, offensively, structure-wise, you basically give the ball to LeBron, and he chooses what happens.
What it comes down to, a player has to be that great, but they also have to be a willing facilitator if you're going to run that style of offense.
Right.
It can't be all like in the end of game one for Boston, their play for the game winner, so to speak, is basically they were going to run an ISO for Kyrie, who had the hot hand. So honestly, it's an okay decision. But all he does is he just runs around for 21 seconds with the ball and just going in circles, trying to get free. But Boston's such a great defense. They doubled him on both sides of the court with separate double guys, right?
Right.
So it's like it's hard for him to get a shot up and shot off, and then he passes to Durant with 3 seconds left in the shot clock. Like, here, save us, please.
Yeah.
And it's just not great basketball.
No, it's not.
And Kyrie had 3 different guys open on that possession, but he was so dead set on getting his shot up and off, and him being the hero.
But I mean, like, dude, we played last night, you and I.
Yeah.
And like, we had guys on our team that they were just gonna pretty much shoot, regardless of what the situation was. And what you find, you're standing in space. When they know the mentality of the player, they don't have to guard you.
Right.
Yeah, they know, hey, this dude's going to shoot no matter what, so we can double with impunity. And then if you're that extra guy who's spaced and presumably ready to shoot, when you're not touching the ball regularly, it's way harder to make those shots.
It's way harder.
It is way harder.
And you could talk trash about LeBron all you want, man, but just his willingness to pass to whoever's name on the back of that jersey, like, he's passing it to you in that corner. He doesn't care that you're pink.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's passing it to you.
He better care.
in the corner, and these other guys are just not. They feel like they have a higher percentage to go over 2 to 3 guys than you do wide ass open.
Right. Exactly.
And these guys are in the NBA, so you would assume these guys should be able to hit a wide open 3 if they're standing there.
There is a value to making the game simple.
Yeah, that's it.
And
man.
moving the ball is so critical to that, and it's so disheartening to a defense. Like the ball attracts energy, and the energy is the defense. And so if the ball is still, or if the ball's predictably going to 1 or 2 places, defenses load up and can confront you at those places, and it's obvious and it's easy to get to.
Yeah.
And there are some guys that are freaking great and they can still hit a bunch of those shots. Mm-hmm. But when you move the ball and it cycles, it releases defensive pressure. They don't know where to go to confront the ball because they don't know where the shot's coming from. And it wears them out and it beats them psychologically. When you are chasing air, nobody can do that for long.
Just look at Durant now versus Golden State. These are 2 different Durants.
Yeah.
Like, these are 2 completely different people, man. And I mean, you could just see it. Like, it was so effortless and easy. And it's not only because of the players he was playing with. It's that system, man.
Yeah.
If you have the players that you put the system in place and they swing the ball and move the ball, it's going to happen, man.
Well, there's that viral clip from the Durant Warrior days where, like, there's a possession and the ball's being swung, and at different parts of the same possession, like, Katie's pointing at Clay, Clay's pointing at Steph. They're literally like, send it there. The mentality, the unselfishness, get it to the open guy. That wins championships. Yeah. It's to do it any other way, you're swimming upstream.